Yep.
Perfect. I'm going to type out some updates in chat, and then we can switch over to voice. By the way, the next meeting for web user group, that's the first Wednesday of the month, is actually on New Year's Day, which obviously the office will be closed. So the next web user group will actually be the following Wednesday, which will be, I believe, January 8th, but let me double check. Yes, January 8th. Strawberry actually let me know that they can't make it. They're on another important call, so there will not actually be a live stream today. Is Pant here? Yeah, okay. Okay, forgive me. I'm pulling up my notes. Hey, Philip. I generally start by typing out all of our roadmap updates for people who may not be native English speakers, and then I generally go over that in voice, and then transition over to an open Q&A. Hope I spelled federated login right. I'll have some questions for you on SSO later. Curious to ask those. So, just to go over the roadmap updates that I typed out in chat, and then we can transition over to some Q&A. So, as I've talked about before, we're updating the marketplace to have a new UI that will be more responsive. We're very close to having that done. We're pretty much in the final stages of testing. We're also updating the Second Life web login to a new design that'll work better on all devices, and it's also to support the multi-factor authentication that we're adding to the marketplace and the web. It's reusing the same MFA that we already use on the viewer. So this isn't something that we're adding as a a whole new MFA. It's just we're adding it now to web login. This is to help prevent someone from being able to steal your marketplace account. The MFA work is still ongoing as well. It's not going to include SSO, but that is something that we're looking at doing in the future. We're also updating the Second Life dashboard. That'll have a new little bit of a design refresh to it. One of those things that we haven't updated in quite some time. And that's also very close to being done. I think it could come out sometime over the next 2 months. It's just always hard to tell in December because we have holidays and vacations, but it is very close to being done. And we're also making some changes to the Linden Home Store where we're updating the UIs there as well to add some new features. And then we're also working on updating the Second Life web map. So that's very early on in design. So it's one of the things that I wanted to ask people about today. And of course, I am going to advocate that we add in the ability to gift someone an item without having to go to your shopping cart, because I know a lot of you will use the shopping cart to kind of store a lot of items that you are interested in, but not necessarily want to have to buy them all at once or clear out the cart. We did add some changes to the ability to gift, but that's not going to solve exactly what you're looking for. So that is something that I want to get done as soon as we can, because I know it's been asked a lot. So one of the things that I think we can just go ahead and start with is, I think the minimum thing that we want for gift now is basically a button on a product listing where you're able to basically do exactly what buy now does, but instead of it buying it for yourself, it buys as a gift for someone. And that's pretty much all we want it to do, right? Am I understanding the feature correctly? Right, yeah, custom wish list would be another great add as well.
The thing about the gift now is that people are misunderstanding the buy now button. So what was happening is they would choose to gift. This is my customer service experience of like 2 decades. So they would set it up to be a gift and then press buy now. And then it would go to them instead of the giftee. So the buy now button is the problem as well, because there is no gift now button. So what was happening was they would do all the right steps, but then didn't know that they had to then click the shopping cart to go to the shopping cart. They thought they'd already done that process. So either at the end of the listing to gift, like those steps, there should maybe be a button in that part that it says proceed to gift this item or something.
Or it just takes them to the cart after they gift it.
That too. But then some people, I don't know how they're doing. I mean, in my experience, usually people are doing the gifting at one time for one person, but that used to always be the throw. I did a blog post about this like 10 years ago, because it was coming up so regularly for me. So the fact that it's taken this long to like, you know what I mean? Like, it's still an issue, because that's what I worked out was going on. They were doing the gift section and then pressing buy now because they wanted to proceed. So yeah, if it took them to a gift cart or something like that, it would probably help. But that's what the misstep is for customer service issues. What Darkover wants is different. She wants to not affect her shopping cart.
Well, yeah, that's a part of it. That's a part of it. But that's just a secondary part. I mean, I just want the convenience for everyone to be able to gift, seamlessly versus, dealing with the cart experience and or the errors like you've seen with your customers. Replacing the add to cart with gift now as an initial step would be amazing if we could get that implemented, and then additional features later, like, add to cart as as a second feature, or having a separate gifting cart or something. I mean, once we get past Christmas, that bulk gift purchases aren't going to be a big deal anymore. Kind of the reason why I've been talking about it all year long is in the hope that we get it ready by Christmas. So where people do a lot of gifting to a lot of people, where it would have been helpful, but since the timeline doesn't allow that anymore, if we could just possibly, if in any way possible, replace the add to cart with gift now as soon as possible, that would be amazing already.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep, makes sense.
Having a band-aid would be an acceptable thing at this point. Give us the basic part and then flesh it out over the months to come. I think that everybody would be happy with that, because I did used to have to work my Christmas and your Christmas to catch those people, because they would spend all their Lindens buying that perfect gift and mess it up so badly that they'd be traumatized.
Makes sense, yeah. I think I would say I'll have to talk to the engineers about this, but my guess would be the fastest way to do it would be in the shopping cart after because right now we have the ability to, when you're looking at a product listing, you can hit like add to shopping cart as a gift, right? And then you specify the resident you're going to send that gift to, and then it takes you to the shopping cart. The problem there then is that if you want to check out, you have to check out everything in your cart. So, well, it doesn't redirect you to the shopping cart. You got to go there. What would be the quickest way would probably be something on the shopping cart where it's like check out gift items, and then it would allow you to buy all your gift items and execute that, and not execute the things that aren't gift items. But I could be completely wrong, but that would be my guess. The best solution for me, that makes sense to me, is a button that would make sense to a shopper that's directly on the listing that would indicate to them like, hey, you can hit this buy now button right now and it'll automatically send them to them as a gift. One of the things that has always confused me about that feature though is I always have a hard time like specifying like how to send it to someone, because like naming conventions are always a little confusing.
Well, the system checks though if you didn't enter the correct name and it can't find the resident.
Does, so, right.
I think a lot of people, for the most part though, people are used to using the legacy name because Casper, which is of course the most common vending system in the world, requires the legacy name also. Obviously we can't search by display names because they could be duplicated.
What if everybody could pick, what would be your preferred way of like actually indicating like, hey, I want to send it to this person? Like I know in Casper Bin, I think you don't actually put in someone's like name, you put in like a UUID.
No, you put in the name.
Okay.
I think that if you got to a page, oh sorry, hold on.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you open up a page of an item, yep, and currently you have buy now and you have gift, right? I think that it should be gift now. You click that button opens up the things we already have now, which says their name, blah, 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 blah. And then it should just say, would you like to proceed with this purchase now? And you press yes. Or it could say, or would you like to add this to your cart? Yes. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe that's the situation that needs to happen. Because if somebody is sorry.
I think that would be a perfect end solution. But if we, can't get it implemented right away with both of these options, just to have the gift now initially and then add to cart afterwards. But the flow that Sassy described sounds really good to me, actually.
Yeah, because you fill in the gifting thing and then it closes, and then people are just seeing buy now and they're clicking it. There is no instruction that says, now that you've set that up, you actually have to go to the top of the screen and press the cart. And that's the step that wasn't registering with people. So I think once you put in the name of the giftee, it should then say, would you like to proceed with this payment? Yes. or no? Or would you like to add this to cart? Yes or no? And I think that would clear up a lot of things. The other thing is display names should not be possible because so many people get the wrong gifts.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be. Yeah, that's one of the things where I think you can't make it 100% perfect for people, because they're humans and they're going to make mistakes. So if they type in somebody's display name, which also happens to coincide with somebody else's legacy name, I don't know if there's a fix for it. I guess one of the things that could happen is as it the system checks for the name and pulls up the profile in the background, it confirms that that name exists if it maybe shows the profile picture of the person. So again, that would be probably more of a long-term project to try to implement that. But if it did that, kind of like it does in Canny, for example, where it shows our profile pictures, I think in some other areas, Primfeed does it. It shows our profile picture. It automatically pulls that. So if it did that, in addition, once it verifies the name, that might help people identify whether or not they made a mistake. There's no 100% fix for that though, ever, because humans are humans.
There are a lot of people that don't know that the people that they know as whatever they know them as actually have usernames, which is a bizarreness to me. But yeah, people just only know the display names because those people never change those display names and they don't see usernames.
Yeah, we can't fix it 100% for everyone. Sadly, there is going to be some who will always fall through the crack, no matter how hard the team tries.
Speaking of the feedback portal, I've been looking through to see if we have, because this just helps us track things a little easier. Maybe we need to submit, or I can actually just submit one on behalf of, hey, let's add a buy now for gifts to the page. Looking through, and I'm surprised I haven't seen one on here.
I am so sorry. I meant to add that, and quite frankly, because I thought that somebody else already had done it, I didn't make it a priority.
There's actually a few on here that are similar. It's a pretty interesting one here on Marketplace gift recipient first and last names being saved, but no, there's not one actually for being able to just instantly gift someone without it being added to the cart, which I'm kind of surprised by. Like I do actually hear that a lot, so obviously it's been on my radar. But it does help to have it as an official post that other people can then find. Not a major like, please someone run off and go do this right now, but yeah, I promise I'm gonna try my absolute best to get that in as soon as we can. I don't know exactly what would be the path of least resistance to get it done as soon as possible. So I definitely it might come out looking a little different than you're expecting, but I do want to promise that we will get a solution for being able to gift someone without it going to your shopping cart. And then also we can optimize it later to make it less confusing, because it is relatively confusing given, are we using display name? Are we there's also the confusion of like, hey, like I'm going to hit the add to cart as gift, but it doesn't really indicate to you that it's in the cart now. It kind of just looks like it actually sent the gift. Also, it might even be on the feedback portal and I might just not have found it yet. It's very possible.
You've done, I mean, I'm looking at it now. You've done a lot of, we've talked about this so much over the last year that you have implemented little changes. I think Garfield even was talking about that a couple of months ago. So it actually does say add to cart instead of buy now like it has, and that really was the problem mostly, but add to cart as a gift. The wording has changed here. So that's great, but it really was once they got out of the gifting aspect of it, they still got confused. But now that the buy now's gone, that probably has diminished a lot of that but I still think the flow should be in that window of buy it now or add it to the cart for the gifting part. I mean,
when people are normally doing gifting, so like I just want to make sure I'm understanding the most common use case for it. Is the most one time do you hear people be like, oh yeah, like I have like someone on my friends list and I just go send them a gift, or are people sending like gifts, like it could be to anybody, like, or large amounts of gifts at like one time?
some people do. Okay, so when I talk about customer service, I'm never talking about my store. I've managed like dozens of stores over the 2 decades, and these stores are like thousands of items stores. So, for instance, one customer that I had, for an example, had something like 48 pages of purchases made, because every time he met a person, and it was, say, a new resident or somebody, and he decided that they should have these one or two items, he would buy them those one or two items. So he just had repeats of the same purchases over and over again. So you'd have customers like that would just bulk gift all the time. So,
Right.
but then you would have the people that it would be their first Christmas in Second Life, and everybody's in this flurry of giving gifts, and they're getting gifts, and it's all so exciting. And what was happening is that they were getting caught up, but in like receiving the item themselves instead of it going to the person they gifted it to. And it always was because of the buy now button. They would fill in the name, they would fill in all the stuff, and then it would close out. They'd still be on the page of the item, and then they'd press buy now. But it's and it does say it's got add to cart, buy now, add to cart as gift. So this has changed in the months we've been talking about this. But it is, once they're in that add to cart part, the gifting part, which is now changed as well, they were getting hung up there. But it looks like you've put a band-aid on there already. So I think that it's probably good, but it was, when it was going to the cart, a problem for people that do keep things in their cart. So if you can buy it now as a gift, that's a win-win for those people that let things sit until you do the wish lists and curated lists and all that other stuff.
Right. Okay. All right, I promise I'm going to try to get that done. It is going to be one of the top things that we're going to work on for Marketplace that isn't already on the roadmap that I've talked about, and I'll really try to get it prioritized. You all have been asking me for it a lot, and I totally understand why. We'll try to make sure it gets done. Okay. One of the other things I wanted to talk about. So we're looking at redesigning the map system, and I wanted to ask people a couple questions about that. Yeah. So in world maps, one of the things that so I understand how maps work at like a surface level, and I'm hoping that y'all can help me understand it a little bit better and how you use it. One of the things that I know is that we have maps in a web page, right? But I'm curious, do people tend to use maps actually in a web browser, or are they normally using maps inside the client, which then probably is pulled up in a browser inside the client? Or I'm sorry, inside the viewer. Actually use maps in like an external browser?
Well, if you click something and it opens the slurl on a website, that's the only time you actually would see that. Like to get here, I click the calendar, it opens up a web browser, and then I click that and it opens up the landmark in SL, and I teleport. But maps is I mean, how often does anybody use maps? I probably only use it 3 times a month, maybe.
I use it almost daily.
How often do you?
Although,
for people, I'm part of the community that drives and sails a lot and flies. So yeah, I use maps all the time. Just have to, because otherwise, we run into a lot of trouble.
Okay.
You're legitimately using a map as a map.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You should come along.
One of the things that, so we're basically looking at all the features that are on maps right now and trying to understand, like, hey, do people still, like, it's like a lot of these things were made such a long time ago. There's one on there for creating your own map link. Has anyone here ever actually created their own map link before?
Is that like creating a slurl?
So, kinda. You literally, yes, you literally type in a region and then the coordinates, and then you generate a map link, and it's a slurl, I believe.
Well, yeah, I do that all the time. So yeah. So if I'm, for instance, I don't know if you know about cam regions. Do you know what they are?
Can you give me like a quick TLDR?
I didn't want to repeat it if you already knew. A cam region is when somebody has an event like Hair Fair, Fantasy Fair, all these things, or even just the shopping events. A lot of times the events are so busy, and because of the limited number of avatars you can get in at once, they'll hire or own cam regions. So there'll be regions that are next to them so that people can teleport to those regions and just sort of cam shop through the region overlink sort of thing. So a lot of times if you know you're going to somewhere but you know it's going to be packed, you'll open up the map and then you'll click on their cam region and teleport or grab a slurl. So yeah.
I personally haven't created charts, but a lot of the people in the, I guess, I don't know what to call us, traveling community, they do create manual map links all the time for their navigational systems.
So something somebody mentioned in chat that I wanted to dive in a little bit more is, like, does anyone ever use maps to, like, find other people in world? Never. Okay.
Not since 2006, maybe.
Will you use it for friends, Darkover? Why?
If you, when you have, you know, there's a feature where you can have it enabled that your friends can see you on maps. So I have a couple of friends where we have that feature enabled so we can find each other. So you just open maps and go to the drop-down menu, select the friend that you're trying to meet up with, and teleport there.
Interesting. Okay.
Very stalkery back in the day. Thanks for that, Philip. It was very stalkery back in the day. People would just land on your head, and you could be anywhere. You could be in your private home, you could be in the shower in your private home or whatever, and somebody would land on your head. And it was quite gross, and it was quite creepy.
Well, you don't want to enable it for just anyone, obviously.
We didn't have the option to undo that in the really beginning. If memory serves, they turned it off. Yeah, they added the ability to turn that off. So, or yeah, it was sort of a thing that it wasn't really clear that you could make that not possible. And then also people get really cranky. Right. So yeah, so some people use it to see friends, and then some people, pretty much every time you make a friend, will just automatically turn that off.
I do use it to just kind of see if a place is busy. If I'm looking for a place to dance or something like that, I'll open up the info from the landmark and see first how many people are there before I bother going there.
Has anyone ever tried searching on maps before? Is that something that you commonly use it for, or would you just go to regular search?
You know the region name.
Searching for a region name is kind of problematic because it doesn't always pull up a region, I guess, if it is somewhere outside of the scope from where you are at the time. I'm not quite sure what the issue is, but I've noticed that a few times now.
I've actually used it for things like when we've been in these Linden meetings and Runatai has said something like, we're going to the rumpus regions, or you can res the PBR stuff on the rumpus regions. So then I would open up the maps, type rumpus, and then worked out that there was like 16 of those regions, and then you just click where you want to land away from people. A lot of the time that's really good for sandboxes and things like that. So you want to go to that sandbox, but you don't want to land on somebody, so you want to just land where there's no people.
What about the destination guide? There's like a little side panel on the left that I think pulls from the destination guide. Has anyone ever used that? Like, do you actually like it? I personally have never used it. I generally just.
You mean the
map
actual
itself.
destination guide, or you mean on world maps?
When you open up world maps, there's like on the left side a piece of the destination guide, and I believe when you so if you like actually search something, it's searching through that destination guide, and I think the actual like little landmarks, I think they're called, right, on the map are actually destination guide pieces on the left hand side. Like it actually tells you like, oh, this is the racetrack or something, and then it gives a little bit of information.
Yeah, I don't see that in Firestorm either. There is a destination button on the left side of the viewer that might be similar. It just comes up with categories. What's hot now? Newcomer friendly, editors pick, and things like that. Is that kind of what you're seeing when you talk about destinations?
I did not know that it wasn't on Firestorm. Interesting. Like if you go to,
I didn't even know that was on the regular viewer.
Yeah, so if you open up a web browser and then go to maps.secondlife.com, there'll be something called destination guide picks on the left. You can actually minimize it, but it is there by default.
Browser, not the actual built-in map.
Yeah.
So that would be different. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, see, now I'm confused. So this whole time you've been talking about the in-world browser, not the actual map tab, because we've been looking at Control M.
Ah, okay. That makes a whole lot more sense.
We're old. None of us are using that web search thing, because that's just nasty.
This is what I'm trying to figure out. It's like what
I don't think it has to do with age.
Sense now, yeah.
Do with how good it is. But yeah, it's kind of horrible.
Sorry, that's one of the reasons I use Firestorm as well. I cannot do that web search in search. I have to use places, people, groups, the actual individual tabs. So, so world map, I was using Control M, as I think everybody else was during this whole conversation.
Yes, this picture's very helpful. This makes total sense. See, that's the thing that I think we're trying to improve on is that, like we have a lot of different ways of looking at maps. I know some of them, were created a long time ago, and we just kind of left them hanging around. Curious for the group if, like, if you were to go open up maps.secondlife.com right now, what would be one improvement you'd want me to make to it, or something you want me to get rid of? You can say get rid of maps.secondlife.com too. That won't hurt my feelings.
Well, this is the thing. I didn't even know that there were, and I still don't really understand what you're talking about, as in where I would go to get that. As far as I know, the whole of Second Life, sorry if this is untrue, but the whole of Second Life, when you say open your map, goes to world menu and then clicks on world map, or just hits Control M. I've never ever known anybody to do anything else.
I think you're exactly right.
So if they've been doing work under the hood, I'm really sorry. I feel like it's gone unnoticed. So that was unfortunately a big waste of effort.
I think the only time you would interact with this is if somebody gives you a slurl link, right? So like, like for example, you're clicking on the meeting calendar, and in the meeting calendar is a slurl link, and when you click on that, it opens up the web maps one.
Right.
Well, I guess it's going to put a slurl
is that
in
what
chat,
you mean?
right?
Okay,
Yeah.
no, hold on. When you click on the calendar, that's what I was saying earlier. When I click on the calendar, it opens up a web page outside of SL.
Exactly.
Because I'm one of the people that never uses your in-world browser because it's just horrible. So, and also because it never worked with a lot of the vendor systems, by the way, because it would block pop-ups, and pop-ups are what you need to redeliver. Just putting that out there. So it would open a web browser, then you click on the button, and then it would open up in Second Life, or it would log in Second Life. And that's the only time, as far as I know, that anybody opens that map. So that's what you mean by the destination code thing being on the left. And now I know what you're talking about. And yes, I've seen that and I've noticed that, and that's great. But it is the only time we look at it is because a link somewhere else sent us there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, so exactly, Luke. I think the search is relatively confusing because I think all it really does, because like now that we've been kind of tasked with like, hey, can you guys go take a look at this and think about what we should do with it or redesign it? I'm literally learning how these features work, and I think the search bar only searches those destination guide pics.
Oh.
No, I mean, it does. You can search for a region if you have the exact spelling of the region, for example.
Right.
But for example, if you're looking for Siren's Isle in Blake Sea and you do not type it exactly Blake Sea with the proper spacing and the dash and the Siren's Isle exactly as it is, it won't even find it. It doesn't do partial searches or anything like that. Same issue that we're seeing searching in stores in the marketplace, by the way. So there seems to be just kind of something that is common with whatever search engines you guys are using.
Right. I just typed Welcome Hub just to see what would happen, and sure enough, because it is in the destination guide, the sidebar came up. But
yeah, and then it kind of like shoots over to where it's located on the map, and then like pulls up this like thumbnail that has like a very generic description that like every thumbnail has, instead of. But I think I think it looks through like all destination guide pics, but that's it.
I honestly have never used this, but now that I'm looking at it and realize you can click on it and then it will actually say visit this location, the amount of times that you'll be in social media somewhere and somebody will say, does anybody know how to blah blah blah, you sort of usually have to be in world to be able to grab a slurl or grab a thing. I mean, if you do know that information, I guess you could type it in and quickly produce a slurl, or while I'm doing, blog posts and I need to quickly get a slurl for something, it means I don't actually have to be logged in. I guess it's handy, but I still don't think the majority. But then, like everything we talk about at these meetings, you'll find that a whole half of SL's been using it that way all along.
Yeah, I think the most common way someone's going to interact with this is that someone is like, hey, come meet me here, and then they'll send you a slurl link, and then if you're clicking on it, it may open this in a web browser, and then you hit visit this location.
It's also really good if you were trying to show information. It's a lot better. I mean, if you scroll out of this map, it's a lot better than the in-world map. If you were doing some sort of video of SL or communicating how big SL is, this is a great sort of site to show that. I've just never used it that way.
You actually would be surprised. It's got a lot more visitors than I would have expected when I was looking at the stats for it. I don't understand why or what people are using.
I think a lot of those hits might be because somebody is clicking the link in world, the browser pops up, then you click on visit now and proceed in world again. So not because they manually intended to pull up the map.
I'm thinking the same thing.
That's the only way it opens for me, is because I click on the calendar for these meetings or something like that.
Funny enough, you can search for events, And I haven't quite figured out what that does or how that works, but it is something you can search for, and I guess it goes through the destination guide events or something. But it's in the little drop down next to the search bar. You can change it to events from places.
Interesting. So it also doesn't have the same amount of drop downs that the destination guide would have or web search would have. That kind of seems like a hole there somewhere.
Good. Another question for everyone. If you want someone to like find you or join you, or you want to send someone a location, like how do you do it?
Well, if you're actually there, like with Mina, I just sent her the slurl in Discord. So I just clicked the navigation bar at the top of my screen till it highlighted, and then I just copied it and then pasted it in.
I mean, if you're at the location and you want people to meet you, a lot of times you'll just send them a TP straight up, and then other times it'll be a slur. You know, if it's you know, come meet us here now, for example, if you're in a group chat, and if it's something where you know the person wants to go to later, then you would probably create a landmark.
Funnily enough, and sorry if I'm wrong here, but World doesn't actually have a create slurl for here option. So that's another thing that I used to do is open up a landmark or create a landmark, and then I'd copy the slurl from the landmark, open it up in map, and then copy a slurl. Why is there no World create slurl for here?
Great question.
Oh yeah, that would be kind of nice. Although, I mean, going to the map and doing it from there is pretty fast also. I'm not sure if it's, you know, necessarily slow.
It's like somebody dropped something there. It just...
If you copy the URL from the top of the viewer and IM it to someone, it would be a mapslink.com, right? So it would be like if I do, maybe it's different on other viewers, but on the default one, it would be something like this, right? And I would copy that, and it would be a maps.secondlife.com one. And if you're in world, when you click it, then it would just be a teleport. But if I was to send it to you, let's say like over, you know, an IM message off platform, then I guess it would open the web browser, and that's where the use is coming from.
Correct.
Yeah, people clicking because so they're at Facebook and it says blah 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 is at such an event. They click the teleport, it opens the page. Then they're, even if they're in world, it'll open that page and then they can click it and it'll open up in their viewer if they've got it set up like that.
Yep.
But the other thing that it does, like when you click it here, I don't know about the SLV. I don't think it just teleports you automatically. You click it and it'll actually open what would be the equivalent of a landmark. Personally, I very rarely will just hit teleport. I'll click open the map first and then see how many dozens of people I'm about to land amongst.
Yeah, it opens up the place profile that looks like a landmark first, and then you click on teleport. It doesn't take you straight there.
So if you had a magic wand and you could change anything about maps, it doesn't have to be the maps.secondlife.com in the web browser. It could be also, you know, if you hit Control M inside the viewer, you could change one thing. Like, what would you want us to change about it? Anything that has to do with maps in Second Life. The red zones, okay.
That's awesome. Be so helpful. Oh, also, okay, one of the things that really is a problem for new residents is setting home. Like their welcome hub is their home by default. It'd be really nice if there were sort of information, like not just res zones, but set home to here zones, because some people actually do allow that.
the loading of tiles makes a lot of sense.
Because sim corners and ban lines keep stealing our vehicles, so we need to find a rest zone to continue on our journey. A lot of times these are kind of guided, GPS guided events, and you're trying to, stay with a group of people that you started with, and you're rushing around trying to find a rest zone. So yeah, that would be kind of the reason why it would be amazing if we had that. I mean, it would be a game changer. It would just be mind-blowingly awesome.
Auto return, okay.
I don't think reefers have a hard time finding places to rest stuff.
They have res zones in Belisaria regions, don't they? Like they have it written on the ground. You can res here for the boats and the cars and stuff.
Yeah, but you don't see that on the map. You can see that
yeah.
there is a parceled out area on your mini map if you have parcel lines turned on, but yeah.
I just sort of meant that it would sort of cancel out that we can't do it because it shows griefers. If it's already being done visually, it's sort of, you can't always cater to that fear factor.
Yeah, that's true.
Covenant. The covenant showing on a map might be really helpful for the amount of people that get really upset when people disobey the covenant.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That section when you open up world map, if you go to, you know how you've got all that sort of underneath the name, there's that big grey area. I know it fills with other names, but I'm just saying if that could sort of show us the covenant and a brief description as said, but the covenant about no photos, do not film me, blah blah blah, I think that would be really helpful. Very friendly. The 30-day limit thing. Oh my god, that would be so good.
I was just typing that out, yeah. It's like
Yeah,
the biggest
yeah.
pain point when I first joined is just trying to go places and constantly getting kicked.
Oh my god, I wish you would have said that at the other meeting, because I'm really trying to get people to understand that it's not the Lindens killing that, it's the residents doing that, because they're putting these things in and booting people, and there's no explanation as to why they're getting booted, so they're actually really upset and feeling really, attacked by being banned when they didn't do anything. So if there was a brief explanation that actually said we have a 30-day limit, because the banned message just is a blanket ban, but it's not really a ban in the first place. It's a time limit.
Yeah.
Go back to the office syntax. Can you tell like Philip and stuff, because I've been trying to say that at meetings and stuff, and they get it. They do believe me, but it'd be really good to hear it from an actual Linden that's recently experienced it.
Yeah. Is there? I've only got 2 minutes left. Is there anything that anybody else thinks is like, hey, if I could literally have Philip for 5 minutes, I would want to tell him this?
We were talking about Mina. Mina got really upset yesterday based on, sorry, talking for you, Mina, based on something that she thought was the same as what I've brought up with you all the time, but I think you're working on it. We've talked about the What Next tab multiple times, and how upsetting it is that it has 11-year-old videos showing new users how to do things. Yesterday there was a big social media hit by Second Life account, and it linked to the support portals, and they too are showing 11-year-old videos. So it's not just the dashboard, but the whole support portal is so outdated. It's really, really affecting Second Life.
Yeah, it is an effort that we're doing. Hence why I'm asking about like the maps.secondlife.com. Like we're going through, like Second Life has been around for 2 decades, right? So there's a lot of things here that were created and then kind of left, and then we haven't looked at in a really, really, really long time. For one, like we're updating the dashboard to look a little bit better because it's so dated. The login page super dated, so we're trying to update it. It's just a process,
something?
yeah.
I'm Mina, and Sassy spoke for me. Thank you. At another meeting, Philip Linden said it was very important to get new users. And the advertising on Facebook is great, but you won't get new people in Second Life if they get confused by the tutorials of 11 years ago, because it's not accurate. The viewers are very different than the tutorial videos that are shown. And if I may say so, I think that should be the priority and not the maps, although they need work too. But the priority, in my opinion, would be make it more accessible for newcomers and start with the information that is correct.
Yeah, makes sense.
Sntax, also, I just wanted to put it out there that we've talked about this before, and you were saying stuff about, replacing that all out. We talked about other bloggers, tutorials and things like that. Just to put it out there, Abner Mole did a whole string of videos for the Welcome Hub. Even some of those are outdated, but those would be more preferable on the website than what is currently on the website. So maybe you could ask them to find all those files, because the orientation path is something like 12, 15 different videos. So those videos could be slotted into the same categories that they're on dashboard and What Next and everything now, just replacing them. There's avatar ones, there's setting home ones, there's Belisarial ones, etc.
Yeah, I like your suggestions, Pantera, about the Google Map labels. It makes a lot of sense. Also, a social relations meeting sounds pretty fun. I've got to run to another meeting. Remember, next meeting is the January 1st. Is a holiday for the office. We won't be in. So it's the next Wednesday. I also am planning on coming to the content creator group more often. I believe the next one, I don't think it's this Thursday. Let me actually check.
It's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, I'm going to try to make it to that one. I'm coming out of a meeting right before it, so I should have time. I know Philip's trying to come to more meetings too. I think he would tagged in for a little bit here, so he might be there as well.
Yeah, he said that thing about me and the usernames and stuff, my big upset about how you join Second Life not being very clear on what a username is, and all the bad usernames that are coming through the Welcome Hub because they don't understand. He said that it's been changed, and when I went to go and look, because he was very excited to tell me, it looks the same as it always did. And he said all this week it's been changed and now it's reverted. So that might be something that's going to come your way when you go out.
Is that when you go through like the join.secondlife.com and you have to like register?
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? Yeah, and then I guess somebody would probably put a name in there and then wouldn't know that that's the name that they're going to appear in his world. Is that the problem?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're coming in with either a string of letters that are just absolute garbage, or they're coming in with abusive names, like serious abuse. One was actual husband abuser. And then one guy was freaked out because he'd put his real life information in there, like his real life name. So, I told him to just leave, make a new account. So they're coming in and have no idea. So you can't even welcome some of these people because there's no name. It's just letters. And so there's nothing. So that makes it very hard on anybody trying to communicate with somebody that doesn't actually have a name.
I gotta run. Thanks so much, everybody, today.
Take care. Bye-bye. Good days. See, Pantera, how come you've got that? I've been screaming about this for like a year now. What you've written there is exactly what I've been upset about not having on the Join Second Life page. I guess the answer is that just Firestorm knows what's going on. Not a surprise, really.
Yeah, I think they're paying more attention to how Firestorm does things now, which is a really good thing.